Hello friends, in my last video we have seen how to dump CSV data into a database table. In this video we are going to see how to dump a data from source table to data into destination table. So as I shown in this figure, so I am taking the data from MySQL database table and dumping the same data into a table in a SQL server. So in here it's a basic use case. We are not doing any modification in between, just we are dumping the data from source to destination. So here if you see we if you want to do any modifications or apply filters or apply functions, do modification, whatever you can do in between here. So but in this scenario it's a basic scenario where we have just pulling the data from MySQL and dumping the same in SQL Server DB. So uh, here I'm using DB our community edition version for my learning. So I have installed SQL Server on my local host, and where you see a table called table input in SQL Server. So the columns are ID, name, and status. And same way MySQL we have a table called CSV input, and the columns are same as ID, name, and status. So what I'm going to do is, so in my last video we have dumped CSV input data into this table, CSV input table. So I'm going to dump the same data from MySQL to SQL Server into that table I just now I showed you. So let's prepare that transformation now. So open PDI and go to new transformation, and here take table input. In the input section you can find a component called table input. So what it does is it connects to a database and get the table information. So and so destination would be a table output by the way. So drag it and hover on this table input, and you can find this arrow icon. Just double tap and drag here. So now we have made connections. Let's do connection between table input output. Let's open it, and as we are connecting for the first time, so we need to click new. Here we will make connection to the database. So as we are dumping the data from MySQL to SQL Server, the source will be MySQL database, and choose MySQL in the data source. Give the details, localhost, and database is YouTube PDI. Never mind with this name. I randomly created that one, and root password, and give a proper name for this one, MySQL input, and test it. Now we have successfully connected. Okay, and what you need, so let me go to here, new editor, take a new editor, MySQL localhost YouTube. So I'm going to dump this data whatever the data if you are seeing here, I'm going to dump this data. So copy this and paste here. So likewise it will work. You can preview here, don't preview much, only preview one or four records. So as I am having very less data, so I can query that. But if we are having huge data, so pull only 2 to 10. That will be fine to check the data whether it is coming or not. And let's close it. So in another way we can do one more also. Let's say, because if you want to see what are the columns are coming in from the table input, you can click on get SQL statement. You can find this, and as if you are seeing, there is no expand icon for the schemas because MySQL has such mechanism. So you can directly take this and CSV input, click yes. So now you can see select it automatically populates all the columns from the table. And also you can apply filters here where id equals to 1. So I'm pulling only id equals to 1, and it pulls all the columns where id equals to 1. Or else you can join tables as well. Join table to sb as a dot id equals to b dot id. Likewise you can even join here, but right now I'm not having any a table called table2, and so that's why I'm not doing. But still you can join here and apply filters where a dot id equals to 1. Likewise you can apply filters as well here. So currently I'm just doing dump from table input to table output, so I don't need all this. Yes, and this is how it works. And click OK. Save the transformation. And so we prepared the input. Now we need to prepare output. And as I said, we can reuse the connections whenever we have multiple connections in the database. So as it's by default it has populated with the MySQL input source connection, but we don't need that connection because we are trying to dump the data into SQL server instead of MySQL. So let's you can go new or edit the same connection. Yeah, I'll tell you if something goes wrong if you edit here. So what you're doing is you are editing MySQL input connection. So if you do any modifications here, so it automatically reflects in table input as well the connection. So the edit will goes wrong here because it modifies the same in the input as well. So go to new. So in order to avoid that, click on new and choose MS SQL Server and local host. DB name is temp.db and default port and all. MS SQL table output. Test the connection. Sometimes there are few SQL server versions we cannot establish connection with the SQL server, but they do connect with the SQL server native. I'm not sure whenever it happens, but sometimes it happens. So we test it. So we tested successfully. So we are able to connect to the SQL server. Now click OK. And here, in case of SQL server, we need to pick target schema as well, because let me show you here. Because we are dumping data into the temp DB with the DBO schema, because you can create multiple schemas in SQL Server. So the default schema is DBO. So in the DBO, we have table input table. So we need to pick the schema as well in case of SQL Server. So target schema would be DBO, and target table would be DBO dot table input. And we need to map, as I shown in the previous videos, we need to map the fields as well. But so if you want to manually map the fields, you need to specify this one and get fields. And so by default all the names are same, that's why it is by default it has all the fields are mapped. As I said previously, if names are different in source and destination, we need, and still we need to map those fields, we explicitly mention here. Like I'll show you that as well. Because if let's say here you can find ID, and here you can see key, so we need to map this as I see. Let me show you that as well. So let's say this is ID in source, and let's say it is key column, I mean a column name is key. Then we want to map those two columns, and then select the ID here and key here and add it. So that's how it works. And we added one successfully. That's it. Save it. Now to confirm this, so I'm just querying. So I'm connected to SQL Server temp DB and click. So nothing is here. Just run it. Pick the log level detail. Run. So it successfully went through. This green right marks will show you that it went successfully. And if you see here, read 3, write 3, write 3, write 3. So there are 3 records has been written from source to destination. So now let's query that. So narration. So if you see here, these 3 rows are populated in this from source here into destination. That's how it work. So let me show you one thing as well. Let's delete this. And I'm adding one more column here. Let's say test varchar 20. So I'm creating a source table in SQL Server with one more column extra. And if you select this, so ID name. So how I can dump this data, excluding this column from source to destination. So here from table input we are getting ID, state, name and status, but in the table output previously we mapped ID, status, name, but there is one more column here. We need to exclude that mapping as well. Before that we need to clear the cache because it stores database cache here. So I'm cleared it and click on one more request and clear and add all once again and enter mapping. So you can see one column from the destination is not mapped. So we are excluding that, and so that's how it works. And save it. Still it works. Read, read 3, write 3. So let me query that. So all are null. Yeah. So let me show you one mapping as well. Here, create one new column. Destination. And input some data for this. Let's commit it. And query here. So that's how the data would be. So now I'm going to map this destination field to that test field on the output. So let me, for that, go to transformation. Once again, clear the cache, db cache. Sorry for that. Now get a SQL statement and let here views. You are getting this destination as well, and click OK, save, and the destination get fields, clear all, and enter mapping. So there you can see, as these names are identical from source to destination, those are automatically mapped, but these are not same. So we need to map these fields manually. So select this one, and click on add. Works. Save it and run it. So now we read 4 and write 4. So query that on SQL Server. Now you can see data is mapped from here. So that's how it is from destination to map to test. So that's how it works. Uh, so now we came to know that how table input and output works in Pentaho PDI. We'll come up with more components in the next video. Thank you.